Good evening. This is Dr. Bill White again with the American Orthodontic Society, and I want to cover some stuff about impaction mechanics. Over the years I've studied this and finally came up with a real efficient way to pull impacted teeth in, and it has the requirements of the direction that you want the tooth to go, the constant pressure on the tooth, and being able to measure how much pressure you putting on the tooth. And all these things, it is constant. I mean, you don't have to change it. The person doesn't have to do anything to it unless you want to use some rubber bands on this. Now, and it'll pull in any impacted tooth I've put it on to. So I'm going to go through this as quick as I can and show you this, and I hope that some of you will get something from this. Now, I uncover the teeth that I want, the tooth that I want to come in, or maybe it is teeth, and we try to bond something onto the tooth, and we have a twisted hook on that made out of 014 soft stainless steel wire. We found out that you can twist that stuff up and then you can bend the hook in it and it'll hold several pounds before you straighten that hook out. So that's what we make these hooks out of. And you make the hook and have it all ready, and if you have to go after a cuspid that's real deep, make the thing and have it ready to go so you can dry it and put the bonding material on, put it in, and then the hook, you don't have to bend it or make any difference to it. It's already in position. And I like this better than these gold chains. And you pull that up through there, and when you get it close to the point up here, you can stop and cut it off back here and make another hook and pull it on a little bit further. Now the thing looks complicated. Somebody stares at it and the first thing out, it looks complicated, and it hasn't caught on like it really should. So that's why I want to cover it again and put some emphasis on this. Now this spring that we have right in here, you put a piece of 012 soft stainless steel wire, run it through or around this thing and tie it back here, and then the spring will come to about this point, and you've got a hook on it, and you can pull it up here, and wherever it comes to whatever pressure you want with a Doctrix gauge, then you put the strings already on it. Then you tie a knot in it and pull it to that post in that position, and that will be the force that's exerted on this tooth. Now this is wax dental floss. It slides around this corner with practically no loss of pressure or anything else like that. It's a neat thing, and I just happened to have it when we was trying to figure out how to do this thing several years ago. All right, I'm going to go to another one. This is the same thing. We've hooked the spring back here. We brought it up to here. We put this dental floss on it, hooked it. One leg goes in there, and you have the two pieces coming out here, and you tie a knot in it and tighten it up till you can pull it up to here, and then tie a couple more knots in it. And this wax dental floss, you tie this one knot and just pull it, and it'll stretch this spring out. And you've already gone in there with a Doctrix gauge, and I'll show you what a Doctrix gauge is. I'm sure there are some people that haven't seen a Doctrix gauge. Now I like to hook these little brackets on them, or else a lingual button on them, and then you can make this hook like you want it. If the tooth is real deep, we twist this stuff quite a ways up here and put a hook in it where you can get to it. And then when the tooth comes up further, you cut this off and make the hook until you get the hook running right into here. When you do that, you take the hook off and tie the elastic to the back of the bracket. And as you make the last part in here, hook it on the side. It'll tend to rotate the tooth as you pull it into position. Now always put the hook as close to the point of the tooth as you can. It's just like pulling a boat. If you had a boat out here and you were pulling it somewhere, you would tie rope around the middle of it, and that's the way we're doing impacted teeth, and it just messed them up royally. Putting a wire around the center of the tooth right there and pull on that. You pull on the thing, we go zigzag. Put it on the tip, and if you pull it, the root will come in and line up with the crown and bring it on into that position. Now, it looks complicated, but it's not that complicated. Okay, now while we're here, we're rotating this tooth right here, you see. We're sliding it around in this direction. Just put that in. All right, now let's continue staying on this subject. Now, you put an arch wire in, you say you want that tooth to come to this point right here. All right, we come in here and just simply make a circle in that, like that. Now we twist spring on a wire. If you haven't done that, well, learn how to just take that spring and twist it around the wire. And you get here, you don't cut it, you just twist in around that circle you've got there and bring it over here. If you want more pressure on this tooth, to pull it this way or push it this way, then put more coils of the spring on one side or the other. Now this is a different spring now, and now we're going to put this spring in here and run this wire down, this dental floss down, and pull that up there in that place. All right, here is another hook we've got. You can see it a little plainer. That's the twisted spring. It'll twist right on around that, and you can put whatever force you want on either side. If you want to root spread these apart, you can change the tip in it and make the roots go out this way. You can change the tip over here and make these roots go in this direction. You can just do almost anything you want to with it. And you can open up the space you're going to put the tooth in. And now we'll hook a spring back here, come through this and hook it on that right there. All right. Now here's one where the tooth is in the palate, and we'll make a deal. Now here's what the springs are. They're made out of 010 spring tempered wire, and the lumen or the opening in here is 036. The wire is 0.010 or 10 thousandths, and this is 36 thousandths, the opening here. Now you take a gerback plier or any kind of real pointed plier and stick in there and bend it down, and bend this down, and you'll have an opening that you can hook onto in that spring. I've got a picture of doing that. Or here's looks like a gerback plier. You put in there and bend it down, and it will have some circles down here. And you do similar thing back here. You don't have to have it open that wide. You can just kind of catch it like that. You can run the wire through that. And we're going to put a 010 wire through this loop back here. I take it back. We're going to put an 012, a 12 thousandths wire through this. It needs to be a little stronger. And now we'll take this and wire it behind the molar, bend this over and pull this so we have a longer area to pull. Now here we'll come in there, we've bent those deals, and we'll hook on this one with a wire. This one we'll run the dental floss through. I think that's, no, well, we did. Here's the floss through this one, and the wire in here, and you make one knot in that soft wire, pull it down on that, and then that wire stays in that position. Now we reach back behind the molar tooth in here. You've got a bracket on it, and we tie this to this part down. We just wrap this 012 wire around that bracket with the spring back here, and it'll stay there. Now the spring is back in this area, and you're going to pull it out from there. So that's what this wire is for. And you're going to use the dental floss to go up to the opening and then go through to the impacted tooth. Now that's set like that. Now there it has that little knot in it. You don't have to just tie one in it. And now you're going to hook this on the back of the molar. You've got something like this, and this will just hook up here, right there. And now the spring is going to be in this area, coming way on out here. You're going to hook onto that and pull it out to whatever weight or force you want to put on that tooth, and it'll stay there. And this meets all the requirements of putting force on teeth. See, all right, we change directions here, looks like, and this is a molar tooth right in here, and this spring is tied to the back of it like I showed you a while ago. And then you run the dental floss through this, and here is the little circle where we want the tooth to go to this direction. Now we're going to take one strand of this dental floss, double it up and push it through there, and hook it back here on this tooth, and it'll come back out here, and now we've got two strands of dental floss. We tie a knot in that and pull it and start tightening it up. Now you have taken this with a Doctrix gauge and pulled it to where you want it to have, say, 10 ounces of force on it or something like that, or whatever. And then you pull it up to that point and tie these two strands of dental floss together. I'll get pictures maybe to show that. All right, here we are tied on the back of the tooth. We're going to bring this over in this direction, put the dental floss through there when it's already through there, and rig that up to go in and tie it. These pictures might confuse you, but you take it and study it. Now this is a dental instrument that everybody ought to have. It's a Doctrix gauge. It's just like a fish scale. You know, you push on this, and it's got 4 double rings on there. That's 4 ounces, 8, and 12, and 16 for a pound. And now this end over here is kind of got a hook on it. Let's see if I got, and that's the pushing end. You'll push with this. That's 4, 8, 12, 16 ounces. Like if you shove on something and this goes all the way up to here, then that's 16 ounces of force. And each ounce has about 30 grams in it, so you got a lot of force on that particular tooth. Now the other end of this is a hook back here, and as we pull this out, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6 and 8, and 10, 12, 14, 16. As you pull force on this, you can mark it. In other words, you grab hold of something and pull on it, and you can tell exactly how much force is going to be on that tooth, and it will be on there this week and next week and the week after that. The only way it changes to speak of is the tooth starts moving, and as it moves toward the hook, then the length is different, and so the weight will go down on it. So we change this thing every month or whatever, but it will. I've not run on a tooth yet that I couldn't pull in with this method. Now, if it's ankylosed, you got to break it loose, but don't pull too tight on one you've broken loose, or you'll pull the tooth. Just be easy with you. Need to keep it moving so it won't grow back to the bone structure. So that's just a little thing to tell you about. All right, now here we catch this spring right along here, and if you pull it out like this, it'll have just about a pound of force in it. So if you want to really get after one of these teeth, you can do that. Now you take one strand of this floss, go up and hook on it here, take the two strands and tie it together, and you can pull it out there, and you've got 1 pound of force pulling down on this tooth, and the other side is pulling back on the molar, so it's pulling this molar forward. So if you've got a class 3 case and lower teeth are sticking out here, the impaction will help you. As you pull this down, you move the teeth forward, the whole thing, and that gets a little bit more involved, so I don't stay on that long. I don't know what that's ringing for. All right, we put the dental floss through, and we pull this out into wherever we want the pressure to be. Then we know where that is. We pull it out and see. So now we go back, take this hook out of there, run this dental floss through here, go up and hook it on here, come out, and you've got one strand of it there. You've got the other strand down here. You tie them in a knot, and it slides, and as you tie it up, when you get to this place where it's the amount of force you want on it, you stop, tie a couple of more knots in it. You may have to get your assistant to put her finger on it right there, and then that force that is on that tooth will be there next week or next month. If this doesn't move with that force on there, then it's probably ankylosed. But nearly all of them will come in and move toward this spot right here. And now when they get in here, you can get up where this is touching. You take this floss and hook it over the button right there, and you'll pull it off where your tooth's sticking out in here. Now you can put a bracket on it, rotate it, and you're home free in it. So this is the best method of bringing impacted teeth in that I have ever seen, and it took me several years to come up with this, and I made a topodont like it, and was at Washington, D.C. in a university, and somebody stole my topodont, so it may be out there, but I've been lecturing on it for years, and people are just afraid to try it. But it's the absolute best method that I've come up with for pulling in impaction teeth. And here's, if you want to add rubber bands to it, you can do that, and that is something the patient has to do. So you can pull nearly all of them in with just the force you put on this, and you don't have to come in and use a rubber band unless you want to direct it some other way. But you can pull virtually any of them in. If you're putting a rubber band, you take it, put it on, pull it out where it's going to go over here, and the length that goes up here would be out here, and that's going to be the force that's on the rubber band. So you can do all sorts of things with this, but we use very few rubber bands, pulling them in, because the patient has to hook them up. The patient doesn't have to do anything with this stuff. It pulls it in with that. So there's doubling. See, this is the spring right here. This is one strand of the floss. We get it over here. We double it, stick it through here, come up and hook it on this hook right here. And you've got two of them coming out of there. And now you take one of those strands. It'll be coming from here, and one will come out. You grab it, and then you take this other strand that's over here and tie it to that, and you can tie it wherever you want, whatever force you want to put on it. And I don't know any other method of bringing these teeth in where you have exactly the amount of force you want. You're pulling it exactly in the direction that you want it, and the patient doesn't have to fool with it at all. Just don't tear it up. And I have pulled in impacted teeth. I'm going to show several videos of impacted teeth that we've taken in with these things. So anyway, let's get on with it. I don't want us complain too much about what people do, but anyway, this is using rubber band and that floss. I don't even recommend the rubber band. See, you'll pull this up, hook it through this, it'll pull it to this spot right here. When this wire touches here, we can take it off. You can take the floss, come around the button right here, and it'll pull it to this button is right here. In other words, and so this distance will be sticking out somewhere down there. When you get through, you can put a bracket on the tooth. Okay, there it is, pulled up in that position. Now this is mechanics for impacted, primarily cuspids, but you can put it on any kind of tooth you want to put it on, and it puts a force on it. And I've not found one yet that I couldn't move in that wasn't ankylosed. And the ankylosed ones, I sent them to a surgeon, let him crack them loose, and then don't put too much pressure or you'll pull the tooth. So just very easy with it and get it started going, and take it easy with the teeth that are ankylosed like that. Okay. There it is again. Give it the idea you could be able to take this and figure out how to do this. And I've used it for years. And that's the end of it. And I hope that somebody looks at it and decides that they're able to do this and perform this. It is not complicated if you take it apart. Of course, anything that you don't know looks kind of complicated, but once you learn about it and how to do it, it seems like it's not that complicated. But it's here for you to look at, and you should be able to figure out how to do this. Now, this is not for some first year person that's just beginning to learn to stick brackets on it. It's but you're going to run into complicated stuff that needs to be done. So I'm going to sign off, and I hope you'll see this and join our my group and subscribe to this, whether it's in Facebook or YouTube, Facebook. And thank you. I'm going to say good night. It's getting pretty late. So thank you again, and we're going to sign out of here.